Hey everybody, in this video we have something that we're talking about, not normally what we do, but instead what we're talking about here is more to do with running a pharmacy business. Now, as always folks, subscribe, like and share, and let's get into this video. So what are we talking about here? And as you can see, something very important is to make sure you switch off your phone. And thank God I've got my Apple Watch only on vibrates, it's not going to disturb us. But anyway, nonetheless, we're talking about stock. And we're not talking about Bitcoin here. We are talking about physical, tangible, or something you can touch stock. In this case, we're talking about medicines. And essentially what I want to discuss is how can we buy cheaper stock? You've got this pharmacy or any business, could be any business. Again, what we're talking about on this channel is not just pharmacy specific, but generally about business. And you don't have to agree with everything I say, for sure. But if there's something you can resonate with, just think about it. Cheaper stock, and we're talking about medicines. We can divide these into two types of medicine, two general categories. Category one, we can talk about prescription only medicines. So this is where you need a prescription. Whether it's a controlled drug, whatever it might be, we're talking about prescription only medicines. Then we're talking about all the other medicines, and we're going to classify them as other. These are normally what you can buy from a pharmacy, but also some medicines that you can buy from a general sales store. For example, a petrol station, or if you went to a corner shop. So that's what we're going to divide this into. A lot of you will know, and it's not difficult. If you want to buy something cheaper, option one might be get hold of more than one supplier. You want to buy some clothing, or maybe you're shopping around for the best mobile phone, or perhaps the best pens. First thing you're going to do is to look around for more than one supplier, so you can have something to bargain with, or rather have something to compare with. So even when it comes to medicines, option one, more than one supplier. And there's many suppliers now. We have, for example, AH. We have Alliance Healthcare. We have Phoenix. And these are what we would say the largest, one of the largest. And then we have other suppliers. For example, we have Ethigen. We have BNS Colorama. We have Clarity Pharma. We have Bestway. We have Lexon. And the list goes on and on and on. But there's many other essential suppliers. So if you have more than one supplier, you are able to really negotiate and get the best deal, because they might be doing a medicine for 10 pence. They might do it for 12 pence. This might be 7 pence. This might be 8 pence. They might do £3. So you can see, you can look around. So that's option one. Option two, buying groups. So let's say you're more than one shop. Let's say you have a chain of pharmacies, and I'm going to try to draw a chain here. Look, there's my chain. Looks more like a chemistry diagram, but that's a chain. You've got a chain of pharmacies. So you can approach some of these suppliers, and to be honest, you have to be a larger chain. I think if you're talking about 5 or 6, it's probably not going to be enough. But if you're a large chain, more than, let's say, 50 and so on, you could perhaps approach them directly and say, right, we want separate discounts.
What about a few pharmacists or pharmacy? Can we come together, or?
Yes, a good question. Farouk is saying, what about if you don't have? And again, this is not the be all end all. It might be that if you got 10, you can negotiate with them, but it might be that you're one. And then what you could do is be part of buying groups, where you have a buying group. And in this buying group, you have pharmacy A, pharmacy B, pharmacy C, pharmacy D, all different pharmacies that are coming together. And this buying group can then approach some of these suppliers. So that's another way. And there's, for example, Avicina. There used to be Cambrian Alliance, probably still is, but there's different buying groups. You can be part of a buying group. So that's another way that you could potentially get cheaper stock. Then an interesting one was, what if you had a wholesaler's dealer's license? Now, when you're dealing with medicines and prescription-only medicines, and you want to become a supplier, one way would be where you get a wholesaler's dealer's license, WDL. I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. But if you had a WDL, you could potentially go to the manufacturers directly. So let's think about this, folks. You've got the manufacturer, M. They supply to, say, the middlemen, or we would say, for example, AH, wholesalers. They then supply to the pharmacy. Everybody here is getting a cut. What if you could become the wholesaler and you had enough buying power? The key thing is buying power. You're not going to go to a manufacturer saying, I want paracetamol. You've got to have the buying power. They don't want to. The reason why they don't directly go to the pharmacies is because, unfortunately, individual pharmacies are not going to be able to buy that many. This pharmacy might only need 200 packs of paracetamol. But when they go to the wholesaler, it might be, for example, 1 million packs, you see? So if you had a WDL, perhaps you might be in a situation where you can go to the manufacturers directly. And again, that indirectly helps your pharmacy business. So that's another option that you could consider. Then we have a very unique situation where we talk about business to business. What if you've got an individual business that says, or let's say there's pharmacy A. Pharmacy A has some stock that's expiring. Perhaps you can get in touch with pharmacy B and it can buy it at a cheaper price. Perhaps pharmacy A is looking to sell their business and maybe you can get hold of the stock. So this is another way, again, not that common, but absolutely, I think if you were looking for the cheaper stock, that'd be one of the best ways. Definitely, but hard to get hold of because you need to understand which pharmacies are selling stock and it's not that common. Then I had something else I want to discuss, and that is being savvy, taking a risk. Now, when we're talking about prescription-only medicines, we have something called the drug tariff. The drug tariff. This is released normally every month, and the prices fluctuate. The prices go up, prices go down. The drug tariff is essentially what we get paid as a pharmacy. That's what you're going to get paid for the medicines. And it might say that, and today's date is the, I believe, 28th of April. Is it 28th, Farouk? 28th of April?
29.
Okay, 29th of April. Today's the 29th of April, and that's 25. Let's say we have drug A, and the pharmacy is getting paid 50p. Okay. Next month, so we're looking at the 1st of May, this drug is now being paid at 60p. From here, you can see that the price is about to increase. So if the price is about to increase, is there a risk that the wholesaler will also increase the price? And if you're willing to gamble anything, actually, if the price is getting up, we're getting paid, there's a chance that if I bought it at this month, I can get a cheaper deal. I hope that makes sense to you. Because you're dealing with stocks here. You already know, because you get the information from the drug tariff bit earlier, that might be useful for you. Also, some insider information. What if you know, or you've had some insider information that tells you that this drug A is going short in the market? And this happens all the time, folks. If anybody tells me it doesn't happen, it does happen. We get told all the time, oh, drug A is going short in the market. You need to buy it, you need to buy it, you need to buy it. And when you do that, then the price will go up because there's more demand for it. Eventually there'll become less of it, the price goes up. Again, maybe you're willing to take a gamble. Maybe the wholesaler tells you that drug A is going to become short in the market. We've got inside information. Again, you're taking a risk. You might buy that now in bulk and then perhaps later on look to see what options you have. So these are the options that you have to buy cheaper stock. It is not everything. I'm sure there's other ways. But this is one way that I've seen. Another way is I've seen people actually trade stock. And again, for that, you need a wholesaler's dealer's license. But I have seen people trading stock in an actual stock market where it's just medicines that they buy. So to wrap up, I own a pharmacy business. Absolutely, you have to make sure that you get your stock right. Because in any pharmacy business, the biggest cost, so let's say that's your NHS sales or that's your sales coming in, okay, it's your stock. And normally, 70% is stock. 70% is stock. So if you've got an income of, let's say £1, 70 pence is stock. So you're left with 30 pence. And out of this 30 pence, you have to pay staff, you have to pay rents, rates, everything. So if you're not buying properly, you're going to struggle. So that's why this is very, very important. If you can buy cheap, and remember, It's not just about buying cheap. What about managing your stock? For example, you have your staff or anybody, you've bought new stock. What should happen? The stock that's the longest date needs to go at the back, and the stock that's the shortest date needs to be used first. So you might be doing all the hard work and you might be doing everything right, buying the stock cheap, but you're not managing the stock properly. Also, how are you accounting for the stock? For example, this company says that we're going to sell you drug A at 50 pence. Are you checking your invoices to make sure that it was 50 pence? How do you know? I'm promising you it's 50 pence. The receipt. Someone needs to check the receipt. And also, think about if you're returning your medicines, how are you making sure that they're giving you the credit note or the refund? And we can do a separate video on this. So there's one thing you're working day and night at buying stock cheap. And I've had this done before where I've spent day and night buying the stock cheap. I bought cheap stock, but it wasn't managed properly. We had still over ordering happening. We still had situations where the stock wasn't managed properly. So yes, buy cheap stock. Yes, make sure you buy the right amount of stock that you need. Otherwise, your money is going to be stuck in the stock. But perhaps in the next video, if you need it, write your comments. We can talk about what to do with the stock, how to manage the stock. As always, folks, stay healthy, never give up. Thank you for watching. Hey everybody, in this video we have something that we're talking about, not normally what we do, but instead what we're talking about here is more to do with running a pharmacy business. Now, as always folks, subscribe, like and share, and let's get into this video.